right, so here's also another example from Trig 5. It's number 11, and it said, give all the angles in radians where the tangent of the angle is equal to negative square root of 3 over 3. So the first thing you have to do is find out, well, where is the tangent equal to the square root of 3 over 3? So again, this is where that first quadrant table needs to be memorized. But if you don't have it memorized yet, you can take a look here. Can't see this very well, but the tangent is the square root of 3 over 3 at 30 degrees or pi over 6. So you know that it's positive. Let me just put this in. You know here at positive, at pi over 6, the tangent is positive square root of 3 over 3. But you don't want to know where it's positive. You want to know where it's negative. So all students take calculus. Well, in this quadrant, the sign is positive, so the tangent would have to be negative. So this would be one of the angles. This is not, so I'm going to erase this one. Here, the tangent is positive, so it's not negative in that quadrant. But over here, it's also going to be negative. So I want to know what the measure of this angle here is. Well, again, we already said that the positive or the reference angle was pi over 6. So we know that this reference angle here has to be pi over 6. So if this all the way over at 180 degrees is also 6 pi over 6, if we go backwards pi over 6, we know that this is 5 pi over 6. So one of the answers to this is the tangent, where the tangent of the angle is negative square root of 3 over 3. One of the answers would be 5 pi over 6. The other angle that we need to figure out is, all right, well, then what is this angle here? Because this is the other angle where it is going to be negative square root of 3 over 3. Well, once again, you know that if you go all the way around the circle, this will be 12 pi over 6. You know the reference angle has to be pi over 6. So if I am at 12 pi over 6 and I go back pi over 6, I must be at 11 pi over 6. Right? So 12 pi over 6 minus pi over 6 will give me 11 pi over 6. So that's the other place where the tangent of the angle is negative square root of 3 over 3. And once again, just to check your work, if you take a look at your unit circle, it's a little bit more difficult because you have to figure out, all right, in order for it to be the negative square root of 3 over 3, you're going to have to divide it out. But you know it's going to happen over here. If I take remember, the first one is the cosine, this is the sine. So if I take the sine, you can't really see this, the sine, and divide it by the cosine, it's the same thing as taking the sine and multiplying it by the reciprocal. So my 2's will cancel out. I'll get 1 over the square root of 3. I have to rationalize it. So you know that this will be the square root of 3 over 3. So you know that you kind of can confirm that at pi over 6, the tangent is the square root of 3 over 3. So now you want to know, well, where do I have these values, but one of them is negative? Well, over here, you have one of them that's negative, so that's what we had said, 5 pi over 6. If you jump down here, well, they're both negative, so that would be a positive tangent, so that's not going to work. And if you jump over here, one is negative, so that'll work. So you can see it's also at 11 pi over 6. So the two answers to this question are 5 pi over 6 and 11. 5 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6.